it's amazing to me that number one, it's been 30 years ago that the ADA was signed into law. Especially amazing because, frankly, some of you people on the call are not had not even been alive 30 years ago. I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at some of the things that happened 30 years ago. Did you know that the Hubble telescope was deployed 30 years ago? Did you know that The Simpsons aired for the first time 30 years ago? The demolition of the Berlin Wall began, and Microsoft released its Windows 3.0. So what's changed in 30 years? Well, Windows just came out with Windows 10, although I'm still, I think, using Windows 3.0. But ADA-wise, we've seen cities pay more attention to curb cuts. Most HR offices have a good understanding what reasonable accommodation is, but frankly, these are relatively easy things to do. Making a building accessible or adopting a non-discriminatory policy are things that check a box or complete an assigned task. I'm not saying these things are not important, but I believe one of the most significant and long-lasting things that we've seen affected by the ADA has been how society in general looks at people with disabilities. I know this is not true of all people. There are still some who don't understand that an access aisle at a parking space is not a spot for their motorcycle or for a shopping cart, or that failing to provide an interpreter for a deaf person in a courtroom is illegal. No, I'm not suggesting that all get it. But I do believe that one of the greatest purposes of the ADA has been that of educating. And my thought was that the ADA was like a hammer. I said it was a device that we can use to break down barriers. But more importantly, I think we can build bridges. Using the ADA to inform businesses about the millions of dollars they might miss out on because their building is not accessible helps the building business understand that the benefit of providing accessibility is going to affect their bottom line. Using the ADA to show the employer the dedicated employee with a disability is capable of doing the job leads to relationships that may not have happened. Yes, making sure buildings are accessible is important, in my opinion. Not as important, however, as in helping a person understand why the building should be accessible. A number of years ago, we spoke about heroes who were involved in the development of the ADA. Heroes like Judy Heumann, heroes like Mark Baer in Indiana, heroes like Jim and Frida Pauley in Indianapolis, heroes that attended meetings and participated on boards and made themselves present. I remember Betty Williams being one of those who said, we must move forward. We cannot move backward. We're in a time right now where we're divided on a lot of fronts. But the ADA and disability is one of those fronts that we should not be divided on, because it affects Republicans and Democrats. It affects conservatives. It affects religious people. It affects atheists. It affects and impacts all of us. And so what I'd like to say, after 30 years, we're not done. Those heroes worked hard to get us to this point. But one thing I know for certain, like I said, a number of years ago, I'm old, and any success that we have will be because of all of us. I need your help. To quote Justin Dart, society is nothing more than what you do and say every day. When you speak, society speaks. When you change, society changes. So, I'd like you to join me in reaffirming that good work. I'd like to ask you to get involved with the candidate of your choice. I'd ask you to vote, to volunteer, to participate as best you can. Again, in Justin's words, he said, we must politic as if our lives depended on it, because believe me, they do. As he said so frankly and fondly, I love this so much. I am with you always. Lead on, lead on.